Hey, welcome in everyone. Today we're going to be covering 5 tier lists. Yeah, I know. 5 tier lists. One for full level 3 Eternals, one for level 1 Eternals, one for all consumables, one for all 63 items during the early game at level 1, and lastly, one for all items late game at level 3. Before jumping into that, I'm going to give some background on me and my team. We've been playing Arkheron for about a year and a half now, and during that time, we've confidently been the best team in the game, winning every tournament so far. We've all played Arkheron a lot and know a lot about item building. With that said, let's hop into the actual tier list. This is Eternals floor 4 with level 3 items, assuming you're playing against another team of equal skill with equal items.
Dahla is our first Eternal and our first B tier. She's pretty simple and provides a lot of team utility. She has AoE healing and a giant cone ult that stuns and pulls enemies towards her. This ult is very fast and very easy to get value with most of the time, so she has a lot of team play potential. Her crown makes her very safe to get out of most situations too, but it is very easy to try to use this crown offensively, but it actually leaves you incredibly vulnerable and easy to punish. Her dancing blade gives her access to piercing, which is definitely great to have, and throwing knives gives her a range damage, which is helpful during the neutral. But she doesn't gain much from her level 3 upgrades compared to other Eternals. Her amulet provides extra healing, which is nice, and her throwing knives are split into 2, dealing a little less damage but overall more. Her ultimate and dancing blade ability are easily negated from breakout as well, which is very unfortunate for her. She's pretty balanced overall, but doesn't really excel in anything compared to other Eternals.
I saw Irenna in A. She's a very strong character at level 3. She gets a root, her crown's faster, her sword is farther, her amulet is actually good. She has one of the best basic attacks in the game from her sword. It's very hard to get away from because it applies slow. Her crown is also good. It's just kind of infinite trades. You have to be a little careful about it because it's not technically infinite healing, but it helps with getting bursted. It just lets you take insane trades. Her ult is extremely good burst. If you combo it with a Dahla ult or a Vortex, it's completely fight swinging. If you can hit multiple people, it heals your whole team a ton, does a ton of damage. I mean, if you can hit 3 people, you almost get on fire just from that. She is somewhat easy to catch out though if you catch her without her ult up, because that's her biggest anti-dive tool. You have to be a little bit careful.
Alright, Edani is also going to be in B tier. She's one of the best CC based characters in the entire game. She has an ungodly amount of CC time, specifically for single target. Her ult is just fucking insane. It's just a 6-second banish on one person. You can just win a fight off of that if you hit it. But if you miss it or it's on cooldown, she's super vulnerable to dive. She doesn't really have good tools to disengage. She pretty much has her crown and that's it, but crown isn't crazy for disengage by itself. It does have breakout, which is really nice, but she still can get collapsed on really well. Other people with breakout can just cancel her crown pushing them. Her level 3s aren't really that amazing. The only real usable one is her crown because it gets extra range, which means that people get pushed even farther, which is really nice. She does have really good AoE damage with lunging hook, basic attacks, and suffering amulet up at the same time. So if there's a bunch of people all together near you, you can get a ton of DPS out on her. Alright, Ravah.
Ravah is also going in B. My personal favorite Eternal. She's extremely fun, but also very mechanically challenging. You have to do lots of animation cancels on her. You have to hit your shots. Definitely one of the hardest mechanically intensive characters in the game. Her weapons are extremely good at breaking fort from a range. They both do 25. And if you can hit your shots, she can kill you extremely fast. She has really good combos if you're caught out. You can't heal during them or anything because the crossbow will stun you. She has really good AoE. If people are grouped in a corner somewhere, you can ult, and it's just a lot of damage. She gets on fire super fast against people that are grouped. Smoke is just really good utility, especially for multi-fight beacons or yeah, it's a really good utility. It just kind of gives you like a big safe zone that they can't really challenge. Her level 3s are not that great though. They don't really do anything. All you really need is the cooldown. Is kind of a downside. And she's also very easy to kill, specifically to like roots or hard CC comps. Like Irenna or Leodin or Dahla are very good into her. She just kind of dies.
Alright, Hollow. She's another Eternal with great utility like healing, CC, and also has high damage potential. Her crown has incredible sustain not only for herself but for her allies, which is always nice to have. It does a lot of single target damage, especially at level 3 with the extra Gloomy, and also has lifesteal on top of the natural healing. Her root from Snecklin is also one of the strongest CCs in the game because you're unable to break out of it. It's great setup for your team to combo from, and also for your amulet, which just means more damage. Her staff deals a lot of single target damage and gets homing at level 3, which makes it a little more consistent. The wall ability has great potential to insta-win fights, which is absolutely big, and her ultimate can be scary if every projectile hits. She's really easy to dive due to the lack of mobility though. Her crown is all she really has to help against it. It's also hard to get good value from her wall on floor 4 due to how big the map is. The map size also affects her amulet because most teams won't play that grouped up. The 5-frame mechanic also hurts her damage from her staff and ult. Lastly, her Snecklin M1 is not really a real weapon outside the root. You don't want to be using this unless they're behind walls. Overall, Hollow is a pretty solid Eternal.
Right, Karriv is going straight to S. Karriv is the team fight character. Just has an insane amount of AoE and just pure damage, more than every other character. He has an ungodly amount of poke damage. He just pokes everyone down. He will outrange you. He has really low cooldowns because it's level 3 and really high uptimes. He just kind of wins late game after he pokes you a bunch and you lose all your fort because searing damage does a ton of health damage. Just like easily one of the best level 3s in the game. He gets a lot of extra new effects to his different items. Double just almost does double damage. His main weakness is he doesn't have mobility, so positioning matters a lot more than other characters. It's both harder to follow up with your teammates and harder to escape, but good teammates can help cover these weaknesses because you have options for yourself like your crown and your amulet to kind of cover for yourself a little bit.
Leodin. This guy has been solid pretty much since forever. Hard to go wrong with 20% damage mitigation, but he truly started to shine once his hammer got an insane M1 rework, which just made the AoE massive and super easy to hit. And it only gets bigger at level 3 on the last swing, and the ability deals crushing damage. This guy has crushing on almost every ability and has access to piercing with his spear and breakout with his amulet. The amulet provides CC immunity to his entire team in an AoE that he places down. The AoE gets bigger at level 3. His spear M2 has a reflect on it which blocks damage and reflects projectiles. He's completely invulnerable in his crown, which also lifesteals for 100% of the damage dealt and has one of the strongest ults in the game. He's also damage immune while using this and deals crushing damage, as well as stunning enemies for 1 second. The spear is a good weapon, but it is completely overshadowed by how insane the hammer is that you normally will never use it outside of the ability or to get to someone that has low health. He can feel a little awkward against range comps and lacks mobility outside of the ult. He definitely earns his spot in S. Rynshi has fallen a little bit, but he's still pretty good. He received a handful of nerfs since our last tier list, and his passive has changed to be 100 total health, including fortitude now. He still has insane CC, especially at level 3, and tons of damage with access to piercing and crushing. Every item has a form of CC. The blind from his crown makes it very annoying for enemies to know what's going on around them. His vortex is crazy setup for his team and for his own cleaver, which is a lot easier to pull off at level 3 due to the stun lasting longer. The cleaver also has a stun that lasts longer, and his bracers still deal a ton of M1 damage, plus has piercing on the ability which CCs a target for up to 3 seconds, and at level 3 applies a debuff on them after they're thrown that makes them take 25% more damage for 5 seconds. The guy has all of this and an ultimate that gives him steadfast, 40% movement speed, and 50% cooldown reduction for 6 seconds on a 20-second cooldown on top of that. He's just an insane Eternal with a lot of CC but lacks mobility if he's played super aggressively, and he isn't that easy of an Eternal to pick up right away. But in my opinion, he's very, very fun.
So Vaton is also in B. He's solid right now. He's an anti-dive character. You really don't want to walk at a Vaton that has ult up. It does crazy damage. But the downside is he doesn't really have any engage tools. You kind of have to walk at him. He doesn't have good range. He has good poke with his eyeball ability, but you can't really trade on left click ranged weapons. If they have good range characters, he loses it really hard. Due to his low mobility, he's pretty easy to ignore if you position correctly as well. His whip ability is also very good, but it's kind of inconsistent, but it can be potentially fight winning. His whip also just does really good left click damage. It's one of the better melee weapons in the game, and yeah, you really just can't dive him at all.
Alright, Grim gets his own tier all by himself. Grim has a lot of problems, but he is supercharged. His ult is really, really good. Pretty much purely against melee characters. You slap it down and it's really easy to kite in it. It makes you and all your allies faster and every enemy slower. The downside of slows is that they don't work on escape abilities like Dahla's Crown or Slide Amulet or Dog Amulet or Teleports. They all just go through it normally, so it doesn't have equal effect on everyone. But it can be really good in some situations. He has one of the best ranged single target damage basic attacks in the entire game. He just uses charge rings and charges them constantly, and they stun off of every single hit, which it doesn't stun very long, but it is very annoying if you're doing that on people that are attacking your team. Like, your team will just have a massive advantage. The right click on charge rings also just does a lot of burst damage. It can kind of be eaten a lot because of there being 5 immunity frames when a fort bar is broken, so the projectile, if it hits someone during that, it just disappears, which can be really rough. He doesn't have that much AoE because of that, so he's kind of easier to dive team-wide, but harder to dive by himself. Turret, really nice in a 1v1 as well. He holds lots of space with both turret and his ult combined. He can be a little bit safer if he places his crown down preemptively, but he has to place his crown down preemptively and in a safe spot, or he's really, really easy to just run at.
As a Tsu'bo is also in B. He's the most well-rounded character in my opinion. He has like a surprising amount of range damage and poke using Bola and Dog. Both of those options also can go kind of around corners / through walls with Dog. You can ping people through a wall and poke, so it's just really safe in that aspect. Like, he has really good poke. His amulet, now that it has breakout, makes him like insanely safe. If he has it up, you can get out of stuns and roots. His Ripper Blade, the ability on that just makes him even safer, just adds another layer of defense. If people try to go melee on you, you can just shut off their damage for a couple seconds. Like, you really just cannot trade against this character. He also just has pretty solid single target CC. His ult is also does a ton of damage, either on a dive or as anti-dive. You can even combo it with like a Last Wish for a guaranteed passive up, and it just does. I mean, that's just fight winning if you get it off on 3 people. Even if you are 1 HP, you can just kill their entire team with 1 ability. It's very strong. He is obviously really easy to kill if he has no cooldowns, specifically on his dash or his Ripper Blade. And he does lose if they're on like a full range team. Like he can't out trade like a Ravah, for example, with his ranged options. But again, he's well rounded, so it's not the worst thing ever if you have to play him faster in a more dive team comp.
Penelope also gets her own tier at the very bottom. E tier was just made for her, I guess. Mirror is very, very good and consistent poke. But the downside of it is it basically doesn't have an ability. It's just basic attack damage. She's also really, really safe. It's hard to really get to her with her passive, and it's hard to punish her if you do get to her because she can peel for herself with her amulet and her crown. That said, he is extremely ignorable. You just don't have to attack her. If you just ignore her and kill her teammates, it's fine. Porcelain Parasol, though, does do an insane amount of damage against health if you have no fortitude left, so Penelope's game plan is kind of just to take a bunch of fort with her mirror and then re-hit you with Porcelain Parasol. But if you have fort up, she basically can't do anything. Her ult is the single highest base damage ability in the entire game, which sounds really nice on paper, but it's really easy to interrupt. It's not CC immune, so people can just stun you in it, and a lot of the times people can just come up and punch you a few times and it will do more damage than the ult does. So you sit there and channel for 2 seconds and often take more damage than you do. So she basically has no ult against good players that know the counterplay. Alright, and that was Eternals 4-4 with level 3 items. I personally am really sad that Penny is still just at the bottom, but hopefully she'll get meaningful buffs one day.
At least you can tell the game is pretty well rounded though, with how many are in B tier. Like it's pretty well balanced right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Ravah will always be S tier in my eyes though. I need my birds.
I just wish we would see different stuff in S. Leo's been chilling there for quite a bit.
Yeah, that is true. But like Finn said, at least B tier is looking pretty fat. I think that's the ideal spot for most characters at this point. B or A being balanced.
Yep. Definitely want to see Leo and Earth and Penny buffs.
One day. Alright, on to Spire's level 1 Eternals. Eternals, Spires, level 1. So this is assuming Spire's maps, so just pure 3v3. The maps are a little bit bigger. I'm generally just playing with level 1 Eternal items at the most. And yeah.
Dahla actually goes into S here. While every Eternal gets stronger at level 3, Dahla doesn't, unfortunately. And in Spires, where you will mostly be level 1, she absolutely shines compared to other Eternals. Most Spire maps provide a lot of cover, so it's easy for her to quickly reset with her team. Even if enemies survive her ult combo, they have to use their limited resources, while the Dahla can use her amulet with her team and just have way more resources than the enemy team. She still lacks the damage though. She really needs teammates to help her nuke to really make her ult shine. She's a fantastic Eternal in Spires though.
Yeah, so Irenna is still an A. She is much weaker at level 1, but also everybody is. Her ult really is carrying her here, if I'm honest. It's really strong. It doesn't decrease with levels or anything. She does pretty good poke with the hammer ability. It is just a guaranteed fort bar. It goes off really fast. You can just like hide and not take any damage and just wait for that cooldown. Same with Frost Armor. Frost Armor is just infinite sustain pretty much. which is just really good in Spires. You can just burn their resources while staying safe.
Donnie still in B tier as well. She's definitely a lot weaker at level 1. She doesn't really care about not having level 3 items that much, but the lack of the extra cooldown from level 2 definitely hurts a lot. She's someone that wants to cycle her abilities and spam them as much as possible. She still has, you know, the same CC, so she has a lot of really good CC still. But the lower time to kill in Spires due to lower levels kind of makes her ult have a lower value because it's harder for her team to capitalize off of someone being banished for 6 seconds. She also just has really low damage by herself, so it's kind of hard for her to keep up with a lot of the other Eternals, but she is still trying. It's still just really easy to kill if people run at you, even more so now with your crown at level 1. But you can play her pretty safe, especially if you have Banish up, but if you have Banish down, you're going to have to burn an anchor.
So Ravah is much better in Spires. Her biggest weakness of being just CC comboed to death, while still it still exists, but it's much less prominent in Spires. A lot of characters lose CC on lower levels. Also, just poke in general is better, and she is the best ranged DPS character in the game, or like the highest damage output rather. The Spires map, she just has a lot more freedom in Spires maps compared to like a Beacon, for example, as well. She's hurt a little bit by having slower cooldowns, but it's not a huge deal. She still pumps a ton of damage. She just has slightly less combos, which means slightly less kill potential, but she still just does insane damage. You just have to play it a little slower.
Yeah, in that aspect, she's very similar to Edani. She doesn't really care about level 3s that much.
Dahla will also be moving up a tier here. Her level 1s aren't too bad compared to the other Eternals, and still deals great damage. Most maps are in her favor, some more than others of course, but most maps are great. It is much easier to get a big wall and just insta-win a fight in these. Wall is one of the scariest items to face in Spires in my opinion. And Root is still amazing CC, and her crown still applies that sustain to her team and herself. It's easier to get value from her amulet as well, because people tend to play more grouped in Spires. She's also much harder to dive and burst as the overall TTK is longer in Spires. Dahla is a great Eternal and worth picking up.
Karriv is still an S tier. Karriv is definitely hurt a lot from being limited to lower level items. He really likes the cooldown from level 2, and all of his level 3 effects are really strong. But he does just still get a lot of value. Poke is really good in Spires, like Finn said. The meta is a lot slower paced generally. There's lower power, so he likes the slower fights a lot. The crown is super hard for people to actually burst down and kill quickly because everyone is weaker, so you can get even more value out of it easier. There's also just significantly more walls in Spires maps, which he really loves. He loves playing around walls. He could put Amulet around walls. He can hide his crown around a wall. He can lantern over walls. He can ult over every wall. He can shovel on corners. He just really likes walls. So this is very helpful maps for him.
Leodin is still S tier, but gets hurt more by the level 1s than others, specifically from the cooldowns. The amulet is also a very tiny 4.5 meter radius at level 1, but it's still great support and has breakout. Taking 20% less damage always is still just good in every situation. He's very lethal still and easy to get value from. The hammer is still just super easy to M1 with too, and the spear is nice for the piercing if needed. Also in Spires, more walls is better for approaching than ulting. Super great Eternal, and you should always try to have one on your team when you can. Rynshi unfortunately falls even more at level 1. He loses util, CC durations, and cooldowns. Also with the passive change, it makes him a lot more difficult to use safely. The ult struggles to get value with just level 1 items, and he's somewhat ignorable. Cleaver is good in Spires maps though, with all the walls around, and his bracer ability still has good kill power, but the level 1 hurts him so badly. He probably suffers the most out of any Eternal, at least in my opinion.
Vaton is a little bit weaker in this comparatively because poke is the meta, or not just poke, but ranged really is the meta, and he definitely struggles with that. But he still has like okay poke with his eye ability. His whip can get really good value on some of the maps too. It can be effectively just like an unkillable hollow wall. It's also just good for like pushing people out of storm, or it's also kind of good with the walls. You can use it and hit people on the other side of walls, which a lot of the maps have. He just has really good DPS still. It's really hard to trade with him melee with payback and Vaton whip having such high damage. His ult also, a lot of the times people in Spires are grouped up a lot, and his ult can just be fight swinging. It just can full heal you and do a massive nuke. He can definitely be caught out pretty easily without cooldowns though, due to just longer cooldowns in general, being level 1.
We got Grim. Grim also still in the same tier. The longer cooldowns from having level 1 items hurts him a lot. He really wants to spam all of them a lot. Charge rings especially shoots or bounces half as many times at level 1, so it's a very big nerf. Charge rings are really easy to spam still though. You can get really good value just charging them and shooting them at random people. They're really easy to hit. The projectile is pretty fat and moves super fast, but he is still just really easy to dive, especially as a team, because he has no AoE threats and ult can only do so much. The walls do help him a decent amount. He can hide his crown better. Turret can hold corners, which is really nice, but his rings really do not like walls. They make it so the bounces get separated easier from charge rings, and it's just harder for him to help in fights that are farther away. Normally you just spam charge rings on every fight, no matter where it is, but it's harder to do that with the more walls and less open maps.
Yeah, so Tsu'bo top of A. A couple things. One, he doesn't really care that much about losing level 3. It doesn't really matter to him too much. And the other thing is he's really well-rounded, which really helps in the random nature of Spires, because you don't know what you're going to go against. If you go against a ranged team or something you need to play slow in or play fast in, like he's very adaptable, which I think helps him a lot. You can't just run the meta picks every single time. If you do go into the meta picks though, he just has Breakout, which is a hard counter to most of the top characters. He has really good poke, like I've said before. Like Dog is really good in a lot of the Spires maps where you can just play around walls and you can ping people over the walls and it's just super safe poke. His ult is super good in this. Due to the nature of lower power level, you actually have like opportunities to ult at low HP a lot more than normal. You also just can have like a guaranteed last wish with it, which can just win a round instantly by itself. And he also just has really strong CC into single target, which can be very helpful, especially when paired with other Spires builds.
Alright, Penelope actually does move up a tier. She's still bottom of the list, but she's at least not in D tier. Her crown and amulet don't really care about the item levels at all. They don't really need the extra cooldown or level 3 effects, but both her weapons get her a lot by losing the extra ammo. They both get about 50% extra ammo for being level 3, so they do significantly lower damage, which means she's just even more easy to ignore. The extra walls don't really help her that much for the same reason that they hurt Grim charge rings. They hurt her. Very easy to LOS her. And this also means that it's even easier for people to hide from her ults, so it's even harder for her ult to get value. All that said, Porcelain Parasol can still get a ton of value if someone doesn't have any fort left and you're just shooting health. You can do 90 damage to someone immediately, which is really, really big. And her ult can still just immediately win a fight if you can land it, especially comboed with something like a Dahla ult or other CC ults that can set up for you. That was Eternal Spires with level 1 items. Characters are definitely a lot more bunched up in this. Less characters all in the middle, no one in D. A lot more balanced, I think. Penelope's still at the bottom, Kara's still at the top, but you know, a lot better still.
Yeah, it being less about just CC chaining one person makes a lot more characters just balanced, because the characters without those mechanics are just better.
For sure.
Everyone feels viable.
Now we'll move on to the consumable tier list. Alright, this is just every consumable in the game. Some of these are not inspires, some of these are. We're just going to rank them generally. It's going to be applicable for both, so don't worry about it too much. Starting off with the actual healing consumables. Fort Shard's going straight to S. Just the best healing item in the game. There's not really any contest with that.
I think undisputed #1.
Yeah, it just having fortitude makes you extremely safe. You don't have to do the healing in combat. You can be out of combat and heal up. If you don't have fortitude and you're engaging in a fight, you're definitely like super scared of being bursted, because it's very easy to do. Next up we got Healing Ward. Went into A. Not as good as Fort Shard, but still it does a lot of healing and it's team wide, so if you can play around it, it can actually get a lot of value.
Yeah, it's definitely situational though. You can't always get it off, or you should always run it.
For sure.
But it can be viable.
It's hard, but it heals pretty fast.
Yeah, it does now.
So even if you don't get all of the healing value from it, you still get a good amount.
That is true. Health pot, B tier. It's definitely just the worst of the healing consumables. It heals more than Fort Shard in pure numbers, but it's less valuable healing because it's purely just health. It will only heal that much if you're specifically really low on health as well. So if you're half health and you use one, it's not healing the full amount. So it's very high risk and not very high reward for using this consumable.
One of the major upsides is you can't be pierced if you're using health pods, but pierce is not that relevant right now, and there's a lot of other sources of healing in the game to counteract it. But yeah, definitely just the worst consumable.
Also, it doesn't feel that amazing to use with the little cast time in the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. It is just a longer channel than everything else. Right, Summon Shrine.
Yeah.
This thing is broken. It definitely requires team coordination. You have to play around this as a team. This is not something that you can really pick up and just get a ton of value out of solo. But if you push this thing to its limit, it is absurdly strong.
Yeah, it is definitely just the best. You can just have a full, complete reset for your entire team.
Not to mention revives.
Speaks for itself, really. Yep, you can revive.
Lots of options, and probably the only anchor with any skill ceiling.
If you're somehow load up here, so you can buy a health healing consumable and full heal from that. It's just like good in every situation, really.
Really is. Alright. Last Wish. Last Wish, the next best after Summon Shrine. It's a lot more selfish of an item, and because of that, it's a lot easier to actually get value from. You don't need coordination from your team. You don't need to play around it. You just click it and you get value. It lasts a ton of time, 7 seconds. It's almost like Mending Hands, but better. If you're on a cooldown build, you can stall an ungodly amount of time with this. You just pop it and then you sit in an invulnerability state afterwards and just wait for your cooldowns to come back up while they can't attack you.
Yeah, it's definitely the best selfishing anchor. If you're just solo queuing and don't want to use any teamwork or anything, it's definitely the best option.
Can't really like ignore it either. Otherwise, you're just taking damage from the person using it.
Yeah, for 7 seconds too.
Also, just the best anchor inspires.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, the other ones are not in the game. The spiders.
Right, full heal. Full heal is pretty good as well. You can definitely get a lot of value from it. It's just not always getting a lot of value. But when it does get value, it's very big. It can be completely fight deciding if you just get a full heal off when you're super low and you sneak away. But if you don't get the time to sneak away, or they have CC and they can cancel it, it's really hard to actually get off.
Yep, you almost have to build around it or have some level of coordination / teamwork. So it's a little bit awkward, but it is still really good.
Alright. Vision Pulse. This is the only item that we're putting in D tier. The reason that Vision Pulse is bad, I know on paper it seems really good. It's very strong to just have the knowledge of where everyone on the entire map is. But if you're buying this item, assuming you have an anchor already, you buy this item for 500. You lose your anchor, you use this, then you buy another anchor. If you want the same anchor, that's 1,000, so that's 1,500 that you're spending on this. That's a lot of money just for some vision. And this game is very important to be money capped on, because money equals healing items. So if you don't have money, then it's a lot harder for you to reset at shrines. So it's very, very risky.
Also, considering how good Summon Shrine is right now, if one team has max money and the other doesn't, you can just pop that down whenever and get a huge advantage on them.
Exactly.
You don't have to zone it or anything. The only time you'd really be using Vision right now is if you're confident you're by far the best team in the game and you just want to go hunt players and get kills. Or vice versa, if you want to hide from players and you know you're the weakest in the team or in the game. If you haven't had much time to loot or anything,
Yeah,
you could use that to just avoid every fight, potentially.
potentially.
But I'd almost rather just have the safety of an actual good anchor.
Right. Mending. Mending's going at the top of B. It's still like, you will get value out of mending if you click it. You click it and you auto attack. It's pretty easy to react to, so people generally will just stop attacking you and you won't actually heal from it, but you get 2 seconds of free auto attacks. It's definitely just like a strictly worse version of Last Wish. It does have some merit where Last Wish, when it activates, gives people empowered points for killing you and takes away your empowered if you have it on, and this doesn't do that. But it just has such a low duration compared to Last Wish that it's really can't keep up.
And it also just silences you for good measure.
Yup.
You generally want to be just your cooldowns before you click Mending Hands, but it's still just an extra added downside that makes it a tier under.
Right, self-res. This is right in the middle of B. Self-res is not terrible. It's kind of hard to plan around losing that hard. It's kind of just like a strictly worse version of Last Wish again. Why would you go down and then do this when you could just never go down in the first place? This has all the downsides that Last Wish has, but times 10. People can deny you from using this by just tapping execute on you. Or just executing you completely and you can't do it. It's very easy to deny this from getting any value at all. So this is almost like just having no anchor. But you can sometimes sneak away. Your team can like pressure the other team, and you can get it off in some situations. It's just a lot harder. And that concludes the consumable tier list. I definitely hope that they make more consumables that give a little bit more utility. That's not just self damage reduction or healing in some way. I think there's a lot more opportunity for unique anchors. Hopefully one day, like Summon Shrine and Vision Pulse. And now we are on to single items. This is every single item in the game in the context of early game, like floor 1, early beacons. I will lead this by saying it is very, very difficult to rank individual items and not full builds. So take all of this with a grain of salt. but we did do pretty good, I think. First up, we got Resilience.
Really straight to S. I mean, it's just a really good crown. It's a crazy effect. It's super consistent. You can use it on PvE just to kill it faster and not have to dodge and mash on people. Yeah, it's just really strong. Fort Crown and B. Fort Crown is pretty good. Infinite healing is good, but it's a little hard to get the full value out of it compared to like a Resilience because it does cancel if you get attacked. But it's still pretty solid. Vitality Crown and A. It's pretty much just better Fort Crown. It's a little riskier because you can get bursted due to not having Fort with it if you want to utilize it, but it is super consistent. It almost acts as damage resistance if you like pre-pop it while fighting. It's just strong. Elusive in C, it is really good for just rotating around the map / mobility, but it's pretty useless in an actual fight. It only is really good for rotating. It's pretty much it. Reset also in B. It's pretty strong in combat. It's also like pretty decent mobility. It just doesn't do as much as the other crowns.
Invulnerability Amulet, a worse version of Resilience Crown in a harder slot to contest. Lower burst due to floor 1 means it's harder to get max value from it. Still very simple to use and pretty consistent to get some value from. It has high synergy with basic attack mashing builds, which are common on floor 1, and sometimes it's really funny to just not dodge PvE and just fucking pop this shit. Barrage Amulet, solid poke and PvE clear, especially early game. It does a lot of damage. Can run in a kite ability based build for an extra damage ability to press. Little to no competition in the slot. Slide Amulet, the king of mobility, and mobility is king on floor 1. You pretty much want this right as you fucking land in floor 1. You're able to dodge attacks, and you're able to loot more from the distance traveled from this, and it has a really low cooldown. Cluster Amulet, it got a really good change in this patch that pretty much ignores 5 frames, so it does a shit ton of damage right now. It's good clear for large PvE brutes as they don't have fortitude, and it's unfortunately competing against Slide, so it's earned its spot in B.
Right, Scimitar is going straight into A. It's kind of like discount Slide Amulet. It's on a harder slot for it to be useful in, but it's still really good. Basic attack damage is pretty solid as well. Bow, really good item for PvE, but falls off really hard for PvP. Right, Shurikens is very similar to Bow, except it doesn't fall off on PvP, and it doesn't have AoE for clearing multiple PvE mobs at once, so it's a little bit of a trade-off, but still very good. The ability is appreciated in every kind of build, including even melee builds. Just weaving in the ability to slow people point blank is very strong. Great Sword is going to be our first D tier item. It has a really heavy burst damage, but it's very easy to dodge and telegraphed. You're pretty much going to want dual axes over this item in basically every single scenario. But it is funny with Elusive Crown because you can go really fast with the ability. Right, Shield's going right under Barrage. It has really good basic attack damage, but it kind of loses some really important breakpoints into Fortitude. It can be really good in a Brawl type of team comp, but it's also very easy for people to just ignore and run around.
Vanished Crown. This item has really good mobility. It's similar to Slide, it lets you loot faster while being very safe. It's strictly a massive upgrade to Elusive Crown. You don't need to save dashes or worry about taking damage on an escape. Petal Dance. This amulet isn't too amazing this early. It's alright for healing up PvE chip damage, and it's good in a multi-team beacon fight if you're able to get it off, but it's pretty much useless in every other situation. Dancing Blade. This weapon is pretty good. It has a good basic attack and amazing ability for both PvP and PvE. There's not much other CC to even compete with it. It has burst damage and CC that can swing fights pretty easily. Throwing Daggers. This is a really good ranged weapon. It's an easy PvE clear tool with high DPS. It has good poke for PvP and a solid ability for early game fights, especially with how much mobility is present.
Frost Crown is in C. It's not an amazing item. It's pretty similar to other infinite healing crowns like Fortitude or Vitality, but it's pretty much strictly worse. Burst being less present in lower power levels like 4-1, it just kind of makes it also worse if you don't really need the extra health bar. Amulet is an F tier. This item is pretty much completely useless. It doesn't really do anything except give you the passive if you want that, or you can work towards the full eternal, but as an actual item, it's just horrible. Caretaker in S, it's pretty similar to Dancing Blade. It has a little bit more range on its ability. It goes off a little faster. It has one of the best just left click attacks in the game. It's really hard to trade with. It can clear PvE extremely quickly too. Overall, just a really good weapon. Arena Hammer is going in B. It's pretty similar to Bow, where you kind of just use the ability and it takes one fort bar, except it's easier to hit. The basic attack doesn't really do anything. It's very low damage. It doesn't clear that well. You do get the upside of working towards its level 3 though, which is pretty good. So, but overall, pretty mediocre weapon.
Outburst is going into B tier. This item is actually like a really solid disengage and combo tool because it exhausts people that it hits. You can use it to push people off of teammates into corners or away from you. And it also has breakout, which is very nice, just always being basically CC immune whenever you want. Suffering Amulet's going right above shield. It's pretty decent with basic attack spam builds, but it's kind of hard to justify for the small percent increase that it gives, and it's not very good against PvE. Plunging Hook is going into B tier. It's pretty good AoE melee basic attack, and you can kind of space it out, staying at a specific range so you can hit them and they can't hit you, which is really nice, especially early game. The ability is one of the best engage tools in the entire game, but it usually relies on Suffering Amulet and just the general Edani set effect to have any real amount of damage, and without that it kind of struggles. On the other hand, Bowling Claws has amazing single target DPS, even without the set effect. The ability is still one of the best engage tools in the entire game. Shreds both PvE and PvP, but it can be really hard to capitalize off of the ability early game. You get that pull on someone and then you can't really do much, or your teammates can't really do much off of it because you don't have any combo tools yet.
Smoke Crown in B, it has really good utility in beacons, especially like multi-team fight beacons where you kind of want to play a little safer in your rat. But it does nothing outside of that. It doesn't help you loot faster or kill anything faster, so it's just kind of mid. This item goes in F. This thing is pretty much completely useless. It's a horrible disengage tool unless you're on the opposite side of the screen to the enemy. Then it's okay if you really just don't want to fight and you're scared of being chased. But it really does nothing. The damage boost is pretty irrelevant. It's hard to get off. You can't disengage melee with this. Just overall a really bad item. Played top of A. It's just a really good item, super consistent. It's good poke. You have super good mobility. You have good clear. It's good against PvE. It's a really good engage or disengage due to its mobility. So you can kind of just do whatever you want with this item. Yeah, just super solid, well-rounded, good option for 4-1. Crossbow goes in B. It's not a bad item. It's a little hard to get off shots, but it can command a decent amount of space just by holding it. It's pretty good at PvE. It can cancel the elite's attacks using its ability, or that also can just clear a horde of the small guys. The ability is only relevant though if they're trying to melee you, so it's just a disengage tool. Doesn't help you poke or anything.
Companion Crown. Companion Crown is similar to other sustain crowns, but has a longer cooldown, less sustain, and has damage instead. It is very spammable and helpful for PvE. Outcast is not really a good amulet. It doesn't really do much against PvE, but it can be very good if an entire team tries to rush you. Kind of like Suffering Amulet, but team-wide. Snecklin has a solid ability that has very deadly potential. It has a great AoE basic attack for clearing PvE, and it goes under walls, so you're able to get some sneaky value depending on the location. Darkling Staff has amazing range DPS for PvE. The ability can immediately win a fight or help you disengage. Some parts of the maps are too open though, so it's hard to get easy value from the ability.
Alright, now we're on to Karriv. First crown's going into B tier. It has a lot of damage reduction for your entire team, which is obviously amazing. Effectively 120% damage reduction in one item is pretty crazy. And it actually is hard to destroy with the generally lower power level of level 1. But you still don't really have much to capitalize off of it. You won't have Karriv passive to place it more often. You don't have levels to have the duration higher. So it can only go so far. Flame Path is at the bottom of B. It's pretty much Barrage Amulet if it didn't go over walls and just had a slightly longer cooldown. It's still really good PvE clear and good PvP poke. And it's kind of impossible for a team to fight you in it if you play around it really well, but it can be easy to avoid if they just leave. Flaming Lantern's going right with this crown. It just has amazing poke and AoE damage with the ability really consistently. The basic attack is also surprisingly good DPS, but it has kind of a longer cooldown than you'd want for an ability that you really want to spam as much as possible. Searing Shovel's going to the bottom of A. It's pretty much just an upgraded version of the Echo Bow with the ability giving you searing damage on top of the 25 damage, which does a lot of damage, and it also has surprisingly good basic attack damage, applying searing on the last hit as well. But similar to Flaming Lantern, it has kind of like a longer ability than you'd want for something that you really want to spam as much as possible in fights.
Radiant Crown is not that amazing. It's very hard to get value from, and it's easy for enemies to simply ignore you and leave. There's not really a reason to self-banish yourself when you always want to be doing damage. It is good if you get collapsed on hard to stall for your teammates though. Sanctuary Amulet. This amulet doesn't really do that much this early. It's basically just a breakout bot. The range is only 4.5 meters and the cooldown is too long to be useful for much else. Eclipse Hammer is so incredibly good. The M1 is super easy to hit and doesn't require much effort. You just click and you hit most of the time. The ability deals crushing damage and stuns as well. It's amazing for both PvE and PvP. Healsphere has solid burst damage in fights, but lower DPS, and it feels really clunky to use right now. The ability can be nice, but you don't always get value from it. Rynshi Crown. Damage isn't crazy high, it's just below a fort bar, and the blind is weak against teams melee rushing you. Vortex Amulet. It's a good CC, but a really short stun. Hard to capitalize on for value. Wrath Cleaver. Very high burst damage ability, can get sneaky hits around or over walls often. The AoE happens somewhat easily against people basic attack rushing, and it has low basic attack DPS. Fury Bracers. Good DPS, but less than some others. The ability has high kill power, really good CC, and really good PvE clear.
Vaton Crown in B, it's pretty similar to a Resilience Crown, as in you don't want to trade with it almost ever. But it does just have very low uptime. The cooldown is very long and the duration is pretty short. Vaton Amulet, third one in F tier. The drawback is just way too high to ever use it. If you click it, you kind of just die instantly, or at least lose the trade. It's the damage is nice, but it's really just not worth it ever. There's really nothing that benefits from it enough for it to be worth the risk. Batonai in A, it's a really good ranged weapon. It's good for clear. It has really good damage against people like 3-man melee rushing you stacked on top of each other. The ability is actually impossible to miss. It goes over walls, it's instant. You can hit it anywhere on your screen, but it does lose to other stronger ranged options just because of the projectile speed. Staff is also an A. It has one of the best melee attacks in the game again. It does a lot of DPS. The ability can be solid in beacons for going for reses or using a pedal dance or something niche. But it's not super amazing. It's mostly just there for the passive, or the left click just does a ton of damage.
Alright, Grim time. First, this crown is going straight into B tier. It's pretty much just a better version of Irenna's crown. It heals both fortitude and health, which is really nice. It's not locked into one like the Echo crowns are. You kind of have to place it before going in, but if you do, then you can be super safe because it does have breakout. You'll just teleport back to where you started. Grim's Amulet just straight to F. This is my first F tier item. This item is just completely useless. This is the worst item in the game. You will not get value out of this. It only does anything against projectiles in a very small area, so it's very easy to just completely ignore. The duration is lower, the cooldown is longer because it's level 1. This is just a terrible item. Okay, Strange Device. It's a pretty mediocre DPS weapon, but it does have pretty decent range. The ability is just super consistent and easy poke, and it helps you clear PvE, but it is also pretty easy to just run away from. Charged Rings. This is definitely one of the best range basic attacks in the entire game. It just constantly CCs and it's really easy to hit. It also clears PvE super easily because it just constantly stuns them, so they never really get a chance to do their big channeled attacks on you. But the ability does really low damage both for PvP and PvE.
Tsu'bo Crown in A, it's super consistent poke. It just kind of every time you click it, it will do some damage. It's pretty hard to just kill it before it gets EV value, but it does have a pretty long cooldown. Tsu'bo Amulet in A tier. It's pretty much just Eternal Slide. It's good for all of the same reasons Slide is, but it does have a much longer cooldown being at level 1 because it's an Eternal item. But it also just has Breakout and makes it super safe. It's hard to die with this item of. Impossible even. Ripper Blade, bottom of B. It's a pretty good basic attack. It's nothing insane, but it is really sticky. It has pretty solid DPS. The ability can have high value if they're 3-man melee rushing you, but its low duration makes it not amazing. It's just kind of a well-rounded, mediocre item. Boom Shaka's an A. It's actually a pretty good range weapon. It's really good for like just holding corners slash hitting around a corner slightly. It has pretty decent clear, and its ability is actually really good to weave in between melee combos just for pretty good CC.
Alright, now we're on Penelope. Sparkle Crown's going into C tier. It's super easy to hit, but it does really, really low damage. The blind can get really big value if you play around it really well, kind of like Karriv Amulet. But it's kind of hard to actually use it because audio cues and on-hit effects can still just reveal where you are anyway. Correction Amulet's going right at the bottom of B tier as well. It's actually a kind of decent early game CC because melee builds can capitalize off of it pretty well when they're trying to chase someone down. But it is really low damage, the CC is not that good, and it's really hard to hit at any range. Okay, Looking Glass is going to the top of B tier. This is actually a really good range weapon for both PvP and PvE. Can clear super safely, but it does have some really big downsides. It basically has no ability at all. The ability just confirms the damage of your basic attack. So because of that, its DPS is a lot lower than other weapons, and it basically just relies on the ability to do anything real. Porcelain Parasol, on the other hand, actually has a really high burst damage on health. You can catch people off guard with this item extremely often and very easily, especially due to the general lack of optimal consumables early on. People are going to be running health pots. Maybe they don't have full healing or maybe they don't have full port shards yet. So you can get the full damage off easier. The ability also can be good for looting faster. It's basically just free mobility, kind of like Slide. But it doesn't have any AoE, so it does nothing against multiple people just rushing you. And it's going to lose a DPS race against someone that has Fortitude, and it's just basic attacking you with a normal melee weapon really hard. And that's the early game all item tier list. It's very funny to me that the bottom 6 items are all Eternal Amulets. Kind of hope that some of those get buffed a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll be moving on to the late game all item tier list now. Right, so this late game single item tier list is going to be pretty much assuming you have level 3 items and you're on floor 3 roughly. In this, most echo items are just a lot worse. They kind of get outscaled by level 3 eternal items, so they're going to be lower in the tier list because of that.
Resilience in A, it's still just a really strong effect, and it doesn't really get outscaled by eternal items because there's not much that can compete with it. Fort Crown in C, infinite healing is still decent, but just less important because the fights are usually a lot faster and burstier, and sustain is just less important. Plus, it just gets outscaled by eternal options. Pretty much the exact same as Fort Crown, but it's just slightly better. Yeah, just all the same notes. Elusive in D, as I said in the early game tier list, it kind of has no use in an actual fight except just to use Breakout. But there's much better items, especially this late into the game, and you don't really need the mobility for looting because you don't really need to loot this late in the game. So yeah, it's just a pretty bad item. Reset in B2, it has some niche builds that you can do, but they're generally just lower power level than level 3 Eternal builds. Yeah, just not an amazing item, especially after the nerfs.
Vulnerability Amulet. It's easier to get value from the higher burst format, but it still falls short. Barrage Amulet. It's still good poke, but there are a lot of better poke options now. Slide. It's still a very good mobility and kiting tool, but it gets outclassed by high level alternatives. Cluster Amulet. It can get some value against Fortitude, and it deals high damage on health, but that's pretty much it.
Alright, now we have Scimitar. Scimitar is going into B. This item is still pretty decent. It is kind of like Slide, but on a more important slot, which is pretty much why it's lower. The basic attack really starts to feel bad here. It gets outscaled by a lot of things. Okay, bow. The ability is still really good poke, but that's kind of all that it has going for it. The basic attack is really bad. Shurikens going right into B. Shurikens are still like a pretty solid all-rounder item, but they don't have anything crazy going for them. Dual axes going to the top of B. Their basic attack can definitely keep up with even the best Eternal items, so that's something that they have really going for them. And the anti-CC dash is even more important here in more CC, in the higher CC format. But the slower dash speed on the ability definitely hurts it a lot. It's not really an amazing escape anymore. Great Sword's going into F. Just don't use this item late game. It basically just loses to everything. It's super telegraphed. It's super easy to dodge. It's just painful. There's always a better option. Similar to Great Sword, shield is just falling short. The basic attack doesn't do enough damage. The ability is pretty bad. The most it really has going for it is its ability to sit there and stall, but doing nothing can only get you so far.
Vanished Crown's still nice mobility and a little extra safe with the second of Invuln. Pedal Dance can be a win condition in fights depending on builds, but if you can't get space to channel, it's pretty much a dead slot. Dancing Blade has the highest single target CC in the game. The ability does a ton of damage as well. Sadly, Breakout completely kills it and denies the damage. Still high kill potential regardless. Throwing Daggers. Very good M1 DPS at level 3 and really solid ability.
Frost Crown in B, it's much better at level 3. It's very fast to apply. The extra health is more important because the fights are a lot burstier. So the extra bar of health can sometimes save you. But it still just does nothing if you can't get a moment to actually use it. Irenna Level in D, it's much better at level 3, but it's still pretty easy to escape because it only slows dashes. It doesn't do anything against the abilities. It's mostly just to enable the Irenna passive. Irenna Sword is an S tier. It still just has crazy high damage. It is very sticky due to the slow, and its ability just doesn't care about Breakout, which a lot more items have this late into the game. Hammer also an S tier. This item is insane at level 3. It's one of the best CCs in the game. It's super good poke. Like every time you click it, you get some sort of value from it. It's very hard to not get value.
Now we're on Edani. Edani's crown is going right into B tier. This is still like pretty good control, and Breakout is even more important at this level, so it's pretty decent. Suffering Amulet, on the other hand, is in D tier. It's still just a very small increase for how much it wants you to do. It pretty much has really high highs and more commonly low lows. Lunging Hook is in the top of C tier. This item doesn't really do enough damage by itself. The engage ability is still pretty decent, but it has really low DPS, and there's just way better options. Speaking of the better options, we have Pulling Claws at the top of B. This item still just has pretty much a better engage tool, and really high DPS comparatively. And at this level, you actually can combo off of the ability, so you can just immediately win a fight if you get a good pull and your team capitalizes on it with you.
Smoke Crown in B tier. Still a very high utility item. It has team-wide repositioning and stalling, so you can get your cooldowns back team-wide, but it has no damage on it, so all it has is a utility. Stalking is still an F tier. This item is even worse at level 3 due to it not doing anything against CC, and it's even harder to justify channeling for 3 seconds for the slight damage boost. Ring Blade is on top of A. It's still a very good engage tool. It can shred for super hard. If you have Ravah passive, it's just a really good range DPS item that can be used for other builds as well. Crossbow in B tier. It's still very good at holding space. It also can break fort with Ravah passive, which makes it pretty good for just tapping and shredding a fort bar off someone. It's somewhat hard to hit, and the lower cooldown is nice for its ability. It makes you pretty safe.
Companion Crown at level 3 is a 50% buff. It has insane self-sustain as well as some team sustain. It also has great single target damage at close range. Outcasts. Hard to hit, but good if they don't react to being hit. It's also easy for enemies to react to being marked and spread out. Sneklin has really good CC. The level 3 range makes it take up a lot of space with basic attacks, but the DPS is pretty underwhelming. Darkling's Staff Wall can just instantly win fights and it has incredibly high DPS.
Hair of Time. Hair's Crown is right underside. It's still like a huge value item. You can completely swing a fight if they use enough cooldowns and abilities into the crown while it's up. But it is pretty easy to break if you place it in properly. Flame Path, right above Cluster. This item is still really good poke and really good zoning. At level 3, the duration lasts so long, and it's really hard for them to actually play around. They have to respect it. But it is a pretty small area that it covers. Similar to Hollow's Amulet, you can kind of just run away from it. Flaming Lantern. This item is just even better at level 3. The poke is on a lower cooldown. It leaves fire behind that denies space afterwards. It's super easy to spam. Just strictly better at level 3 and always. Searing Shovel, on the other hand, is going into S tier. This is pretty much the AoE damage item. It does crazy damage at level 3. Definitely one of the best upgrades in the entire game. And it's really easy to spam and really easy to hit multiple people with this.
Radiant Crown. Stalling is a lot stronger this late into the game, but still rarely ever damages. Enemies will still just leave. There's also a lot of counterplay to this crown, like Penelope's Mirror Shards or placing Karriv's Flame Path Amulet under him. Sanctuary Amulet. Much better at level 3. It has a great uptime on a team-wide CC immunity. It can cancel entire Eternal ults and combo single-handedly, all while having Breakout. This item has to be baited out pre-fight. Eclipse Hammer. Still crazy easy and strong basic attacks. The ability deals tons of damage and is a great combo tool. Glint's Spear. The charged basic attack deals a ton of damage in Devan's space. The ability can deny entire ults and punish range players who don't bait it first. The charged basic attack is somewhat easy to avoid being hit by though. Rynshi Crown. The blind is very strong in open maps and has solid damage for how easy it is to get off. It's still worse against melee combos, but the meta is more cooldown and poke based this late into the game, which is great for it. Vortex Amulet is the best CC tool in the game outside of an ult. It's an insane combo tool that can wipe entire teams instantly from one triple pull. It is somewhat telegraphed though, so enemies might know when it's coming. Wrath Cleaver has crazy high burst damage, and the level 3 stun lasts long enough to combo other things with it. Still has low basic attack damage, unfortunately. Fury Bracers, possibly the best level 3 in the game. It has insane kill potential, and the ability is often deadly. The basic attacks are very sticky, so it's hard to get away from.
On Crown in B, it has a very high uptime at level 3 with up duration and lower cooldown, but it's pretty easy to kite or just disengage while it's up. Audacity in C tier. At level 3, it has a lower downside, and items have better combos with it, but it can still just kill you if you use them correctly. I under Invuln. It still just has very good poke with its ability, but not much changes from level 1. It still loses to other better ranged options due to its low projectile speed. Staff is in the same boat. It doesn't really gain that much from level 3. It still has good left click damage, and its ability can be useful, but it's just inconsistent. Yeah, pretty mid this late into the game.
Back to Grim. His crown is actually a lot better at this level. He has very high sustain with it. The level 3 gives lower cooldown and it makes you heal more. And the lower cooldown especially means that you're safe for a higher percent of fights. Breakout is even more important here. You can just always escape to your crown no matter what you're CC'd by. Just a lot more consistent and easy to get value from at this level. His amulet, on the other hand, still at the bottom of F tier. This is just the worst item in the game. It has a higher duration and a lower cooldown, which is nice, but a higher duration of a useless effect is not amazing. Turret drops down to C tier. It's just very easy to destroy and kind of does negligible damage at this level, but it is still pretty free and easy poke. You just slap it down and it's gonna hit someone, but the level 3 is completely useless. Charge Rings is Grim's second best item, pretty high into B tier. This item just has a really good basic attack, really good DPS, and really good CC. The ability at level 3 becomes a pretty decent poke ability, but the entire projectile can get eaten pretty often from 5-frame system.
Tsu'bo Crown, it still just has solid poke. The cooldown is a little bit less at level 3, and it can cover your engages against projectiles pretty well. Like it can body block a lot of stuff. But yeah, not amazing. Run free, top of S. It's effectively the late game version of Slide. While it's off cooldown, you're completely immune to roots and stuns. It has a low cooldown at level 3. It's just super good item. Ripper Blades in B. The level 3 gives it a much higher uptime on its weaken, which is very good because you want to brawl with this item due to how sticky it is. You just want to stick on them and beat them up. But it is pretty easy to disengage from with other cooldowns. Yeah. Moonshot is also in B. Uh, the basic attack is still pretty solid poke. You can hold corners with it still. The ability is really good single target CC. You can really just combo one person very well with like a dancing blade in this, or just something like that. It's not amazing still.
Right, last Eternal, Penelope again. Her crown still really bad. The most you can really get away with doing with this is annoying your enemy. It still does like really easy to hit poke, but doesn't do enough damage to make it worthwhile. Her amulet, in a similar case, it's really hard to hit and really easy to escape from, so it doesn't really have any upside at all. Looking Glass is a lot better though. It still just does consistent range damage, low DPS in most cases, because mostly because of its difficulty of hitting. I'm redoing that. Mirror, on the other hand, is a lot better. It has consistent range damage, but its DPS is kind of balanced by it being difficult to hit. The level 3 gives almost 50% extra ammo, which is really massive, but it does still effectively have no ability. Porcelain Parasol, on the other hand, is very good still. The level 3 does give 50% extra ammo, which is really insane. It makes your burst on health even better. You have Breakout on the ability, and like we've mentioned before, Breakout is even more important the later you're into the games you get. It's a little bit harder to use because it's on a weapon, but it's still really good regardless. The mobility is damage immune on the ability, which is really nice, but you can still be CC'd during it, so it's not as safe as you would think. And the item itself still is very weak to people with fortitude. It doesn't do enough damage. Alright, and that was our 5th tier list. That is it for this video. Thank you to everyone that stayed for the entire video. I hope you learned a bit about why items are good. Goodbye, chat.
Bye, chat. Thanks for watching.
Bye, chat.